G'day punters, welcome to the first of the Mailbag's official Sydney previews with the full team on board. It's great to have Mark Shean and also Mark Rhoden joining me here to preview the upcoming Spring Racing Carnival. Mark Shean, I'll start with yourself. There's heaps of trials, heaps of angles in this card. How'd you sort of interpret it on first glance?
Yeah, we're getting back on dry tracks after we've had a lot of heavy tracks, so that could be a question mark going into this meeting, but just have to see the way the track plays as well. The rail, I think, is back in the 3 metre range, so I think the last time the rail was Rosehill 3 metres, a little bit off on the fence, so just have to have a look through the day how it transpires.
Mark Rhoden, for those people who haven't been in touch with your stuff previously, how exactly do you tend to focus in on the form? Are you a ratings person? Are you a replayers watcher?
Look, ratings are the key, but I have to combine all those other elements of watching tapes and trials and all those other elements that are traditional sort of form factors. But the cornerstone is my own private ratings database. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Look, we'll touch on the San Domenico Stakes to begin with because it is the feature. It's only a small field, select field, but race 5 will kick us off. Mark Rhoden, I'll start with yourself. There's 5 horses here that are coming off a break, and then you've got Anders who's coming off a heavy track. How are you putting this race together?
There are angles because of those uncertainties you mentioned, but I like Peltzer. I had a really big opinion of him. Through the autumn, he just kept improving all through that prep. I suppose the slight query is he probably his 2 best wins when he really came good were leading over slightly longer trips than this, and he's unlikely to be leading here. I would think Anders would probably lead, but nothing in his trials put me off. I thought his trials were good. Be interested to hear Mark's views on that, but I just think he might be the best horse in the race. Anders is the one that's up and running. He's sort of taken a real step forward on soft ground, as you mentioned. Whether that's the key to him is still up in the air. So for that reason, I'd sit with Anders being favourite. I'd much rather be on Peltzer. Memoragum looks to have improved to me, and Doubtland was absolutely dynamic, winning over the championships on the soft track at Randwick that day. But I was a bit... didn't really know what to make of his trial. So again, I'd like to hear Mark's views on that. But my first edition has Peltzer clear favourite, and he'll be a bet for me, I would think.
Mark Shean, we'll go straight to you on the trials. What did you think of Memoragum and then also Peltzer in particular?
I thought Peltzer tried well. I think he'll get a nice run behind Anders here, so he's my pick in the race. I think he just did his own thing in that trial. He led and raced away from the inside. I'm not sure that I'd worry about Doubtland's trial. He has done that before. He's not a flash trialer. So I'd really just assess him on race form and wouldn't be too carried away with that trial, because to my eye it looked a very similar trial before when he won first up and then won the kindergarten after that. So I think that's just the way he trials. Memoragum, not sure where he'll get to in the run here, but I'm pretty sure he has trialled a bit better than last time in. But I think Peltzer gets the right run for me, so he's my selection in race 5.
Yeah, I'll make it a clean sweep there, actually. I found Peltzer as well. I just thought that some of that form from last preparation was arguably the best here. Memoragum's got some decent form as well, but I expect they'll probably restrain and try and take a sit with that galloper. I also thought Peltzer, just off the trial footage, looked a little bit sweaty, so I can't wait to hear how Rob takes a view to him in the mounting yard. So I'll probably have something
Pete,
on.
I think that's his normal pattern as well. I think Blake Ryan, the son of the trainer, said he'd sweated an igloo. So I don't think it's anything to worry about.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'll be having something on. I expect the market will probably switch around there the closer we get towards jump time. I think some of those wet tracks ratings can often be overblown with some of these horses, and I'd like to see Anders do it on a dry surface. So nice little way to kick off with race 5. Race 6 is the first leg of the Quaddie. And again, we're coming into this with a few horses that are coming off trials, but for the most part, a lot of them have been racing around. Mark Rhoden, how do you find breaking the market down in race 6?
Yeah, it's not a race I want to get too carried away with and launch with both barrels on or anything like that, but I don't have Sangria top pick. I can see why she is. Everyone's going to put the pen through. She's just not a wet tracker, so they're putting the pen through the first up run. I understand that. And some of her figures on dry tracks would win this. She's a very speedy horse. Her best ever run on my figures was 1,000 metres round Gosford, though, in a Class 2, which just leads me to thinking the way she goes so keen in her trials as well. She's the sort of horse that any pressure at all might be enough to bring her undone. Having said that, she really should lead here, unless they want to do something silly with Bothered. But either way, there's going to be a good tempo, and I think it sets up okay for a horse like Electric Girl, who is probably best at 1,400 metres, but I quite liked her last trial at home at Kembla. She was quite stylish for the line, I thought, and a fast run 1,100 might be up her street first up, and she could get away with it, and she's a nice price too. And the other one, I'm getting a bit sick of Black Magnum, but I think he could go better on the dry. He is up and running. His best, it certainly makes him at least competitive in this. And, he's been going around 2 to 1 his last two, and you're going to get around 6 to 1 on Saturday on probably a track that suits him better. So I'll consider saving on him. And I thought, Destination was the other one. When the fields came out, I really wanted to find it a 3-year-old with 52. It just ticks a lot of boxes for me, but I just don't know where it gets to from 10. If it had drawn 5 or something, I'd have it on top for sure.
Okay, Mark Shean, did you find anything of any value in race 6?
Look, I'm with Electric Girl as well here. The marks are sticking together today. Thought her first trial was a little bit suspect, but that was on wet ground. She went back to Kembla and ran a very fast last split there, 33.4 o'clock. She's lovely running the race here. She doesn't carry much condition, so she'll come to hand quickly. And I think with all the speed in the race, with Sangria and Bothered in the race, she'll get a lovy run. I thought Plonker might sprint well fresh also.
His trial was okay up at home too, wasn't
it? Yeah. That was the way that I ended up going, was just plonker something small on that horse. I've got a previous good first up figure and a good track figure as well for that horse at Rosehill. So I thought gate 5 should get itself into a reasonably good spot. And yeah, I had time for the trial as well, but it was just a bit of a messy map. So I didn't exactly know what to do with the race overall, but that horse at double figures is the way that I was looking. We'll go to race 7, the Ming Dynasty, over 1,400. Mark Shean, we've got a couple of horses, Overlord and Achiever, that have trialled coming into this a couple of times each. What do you think of those two horses?
Well, this could be a trap race because there looks to be very little speed in the race. Overlord's drawn barrier number 1 and is a bad beginner, so I'm not sure where he'll get to in the run. I think Kamazi, if he jumps better, will probably roll forward with Holyfield, but they could just pull up to a walk in the middle stages here, so it could be a bit of a trap race. I think Kamazi, if it jumps better, I never thought I'd tip him in a 1,400-metre race, but just the way the race sets up, I think he might get a good run here and might just have the better turn of foot at the finish. I'm not sure where Overlord will end up, and at the odds at the moment, I'd have to bet against him, just looking at the way the pattern of the race should be.
Mark
Rhoden, for yourself, any bets or lays here in race 7?
Yeah, I'm probably going to end up on Achiever. I agree with what Mark said about the map. I don't think it looks too good for Overlord at all. Especially out of gate 1. If he ends up, in the last pair on the fence, that's not going to be ideal for him, even with McDonald on. There was Achiever and Overlord met behind Peltzer one day in the late autumn, and there wasn't much between them that day. And the following start, Achiever came out and won really well. He's another one that in his 2-year-old season just kept making gradual improvement throughout that preparation, which I liked. And with the lack of pace in the race, he's not drawn great in 7, but he might settle fairly handy. And again, it's not a race I want to unload on, but I just thought it was far too great a differential in the price of Overlord and Achiever, so that's the way I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'm expecting that price of Overlord will probably drift out a little bit more, but if for whatever reason it does hang around that mark, I think I'll be trying to lay it. But other than that, it's not really a race that I want to get too involved with, as is race 8 over 1,900, the Premier's Cup. Mugatu's pretty short, $2.30. We got a good push from Snowy Mark Bilney earlier on the Victorian preview show for the mailbag. So obviously the stable's liking what he's doing, but I think to take the price, that's probably up to the individual. Mark Rhoden, in the end, what mark did you give Mugatu?
Well, I'm a fan of the horse. I backed him first up, and I was impressed with the win. Obviously, 1,900 should be an even more suitable trip, and you could argued that he should have taken a step forward off that first up run. So I thought I'd marked him pretty aggressively and got him 350, and I got a bit of a shock when I saw 220 everywhere. I thought I finished my price and gone, gee, I've got him miles clear and I've got him 350. Have I been too aggressive? And according to the market, I'm nowhere near aggressive enough, so I can't possibly back him at that price. But against that, I've got him well on top. So as a betting proposition, it is a question of just trying to pickle away and find something at double figure odds. I thought Girl Tuesday might run a race. She likes Rosehill. Both her and Savacool were probably... The race was half put on from at Hawkesbury last time, but they both went well. Savacool's probably right out the back here. Girl Tuesday potentially could be a pair or two closer from 9. Mustajir won first up last time at this track and distance, actually, in the autumn. Off no trial, and this time he had a trial over 1,000 metres at Gosford where he was hard ridden and finished last. So I don't know whether, I mean, a 1,000-metre trial for a staying type like him, you're not going to be able to read too much into, I guess, but it certainly didn't look great to the eye. But I suppose they're not going to get McDonald to ride it if it's just going around for a look around as well. So, yeah, I mean, Mugatu on top, yes, too short for me, and I won't nail my colours to the mast just yet, but I'll probably find something at double figure odds for back.
All right. Mark Shean, anything for yourself in race 8?
Yeah, I like Mugatu as well. I didn't really like the way he paraded the other day before he won. Looked a bit dead in the coat and still looked like he had a fair bit of improvement to my eye. I know he found the fast lane down the outside, but I thought his trial since has been outstanding. So I think he can only improve from that win. These others seem to go round and round every week. I thought Old Grey Lion might run an improved race back on a dry track, but I wouldn't be having too much on it, but I think the favourite will win.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go to...
You'd happy with 5 to 4-ish, Mark?
Sorry, mate, I missed that.
You'd be happy with around 5 to 4? You'd take it?
I'd want a little bit better than that, mate. 7 to 4 or 2s at least.
Yep, fair enough.
Okay, we'll jump into the last race 9. A benchmark 88 handicap. Wide open, early market. There's a couple of horses that have been racing around, but for the most part, they're all coming off trials. Mark Shean, did you find one or two from the trials that you really liked?
Prime Candidate's been back to the trial since he raced, and I thought he trialled particularly well. He trialled without blinkers and ran second in very fast time to Mr. Mosaic. So I thought getting back on dry ground, he'd be very hard to beat here. He matched quite well with me. 1,200 round Rosehill on a dry deck. Looks a good race for him. Something Fast looks to come back a lot better than last preparation. Struck 2 wet tracks last time in. I thought both his trial this time in have been much better. And one I was waiting for last week was Nudge, but this might be a little bit too short for her. She was scratched after a wide draw in a 1,400. They brought her back to 12, so probably a bit short. Subpoenaed, I'm worried where it's going to get in the run. Had a trial at the Gold Coast and also had a trial at Warwick Farm. Wasn't asked to do much there, but slow beginner, going to get a long way back. So I think I'd be betting around it. Prime Candidate, the one for me.
All right. Mark Rhoden, anything for yourself in race 9?
Yeah, I've got subpoenaed a fair bit longer than Market 2. I prefer a 1,400 first up as well, I think. I have Prime Candidate and Entente on sort of joint on top here. Entente didn't really come good until he got up around the mile and beyond last time in, but I haven't minded his trials, and he sort of got outpaced late in his last trial at Kensington, I think it was, but he was really hard ridden through the line there. Obviously, that suggests to me he should be fairly forward for this first up run. There's not a hell of a lot of speed for a 1,200 metre race, so he shouldn't be too far off the lead either. Just at double figure odds, pending some awful news from the yard from Rob, perhaps I'd probably be prepared to speculate if he stays around that price. Prime Candidate's the one that's up and running. Better suited at 1,200 back from 1,300. I'm glad it was at 1,300 last time and it got tired because I was on Poetic Charmer that day and we needed it to stop, so that was good. And I might have something at big odds on Tenley, which is a 4-year-old mare now that's done almost all her racing at group level. Not badly placed at a benchmark race with 54.5. Barrier 14, probably back and wide though, and that's why she's the price she is. So I could make some case for her, but there are negatives. Yeah, prime candidate, probably the solid one, and on top the bit more specky one.
Yeah, I thought I was almost going through some sort of dazed delusion when I was finding Anthonisz on top as well. But I just like the trials. I thought the form out of last preparations is really strong. So again, I was waiting for any sort of push from Rob, especially being over 1,200. But
I mean, the price is great, but you can't sail in without knowing, really, So
yeah, exactly. So I'll probably have on half the bet on now, and then if I get a push, I'll have another crack at it on the day. But and then agree with what Mark Shean was saying with something fast. I thought the trials were pretty good, and I could put a few excuses to it last prep on some of those wetter tracks. So both of those horses, I think, just mapped to sit in a nice position and hopefully can hang on in the last. Mark Shean, do you have anything that you're stamping on the day, best bet, or do you have something that you're going to really take a set against and try and lay?
Well, I think Prime Candidate is a good bet for me in the last, just hoping that the track pattern suits him. I think, as Mark said, he does map very well here, and he's got race fitness on his side. So he's the way I'd go for a best for the day, Pete.
All right. Mark Rhoden, best for yourself?
At this stage, probably the one I'm strongest on is Peltzer. I've got him marked around the 7-4 mark, and he's about a point longer than that. So I think he's a pretty solid bet, and I'd be well against Overlord at around 6-4 as well.
Yeah, Peltzer's the way that I'll be going as well. All right, thank you both for the first of hopefully many previews. We'll be back on Monday to review it with Rob Scurry and ideally get a good view as to what he thought out of the mounting yard. Until then, go well to you both. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll catch up with you both on Monday.
Excellent. Thanks, and good
Ben.
luck.
Thanks, mate.